Some exchange betting companies run short-lived promotions, like months-long offers of low commission. At BetDAG, we wanted to change the way we did things, so we set our commission at 2% permanently. That's 2% on football, horse racing, golf, almost any sport. 2%. That's just one way that BetDAG is changing for the better. For the better, like you. BetDAG, the 2% commission exchange.
Over 18s only, please gamble responsibly. Sunderland won yesterday 1-0 in probably the most boring 1-0 win I have ever seen us play, but it's a win, it's 3 points. We are further up the table and we are breathing down the top two, down the necks of the top two. I said that wrong. Always knock up the introduction. Anyway, to dissect this, we have Alex McCain, who's here to talk all things Sunderland. So how are you, Alex?
Howdy, I'm good.
Good stuff. Johnny Goldsmith as well, not locked in a toilet.
No, I'm here in the studio today, so by that I'm better than I was last time.
You make sure you pee before you...
Yes, and also don't use the disabled toilet.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
They fix it now, though.
Yes, they have, and I'm never using it again, though. I don't have to fix it.
You got like a complex about all disabled toilets now.
So, yeah, just avoid disabled toilets at all costs.
You were the martyr for the fixing of that toilet, Johnny. It took someone to have to get locked in there to fix it, clearly, and you've taken that bullet, so more power to you.
We also have a special guest, the Lake poet, Marty Longstaff. How are you?
I'm alright, how are you?
You're the only one who's asked. I'm very good.
Nice one, man. Nice to be here, thank you.
We're gonna talk to you about, kind of Netflix and your life as a musician. We'll do that though towards the end. But initially I want to talk about the nitty-gritty of yesterday. So starting 11, Sunderland lined up McLaughlin, Adam Matthews, Jimmy Dunn, Tom Flanagan, Rhys James. Midfield was led by Power. Then we had McGeady, Honeyman, Lewis Morgan and Charlie Wyke as the front four. It was a terrible first half, nothing really happened. Second half, Sunderland took the lead through an Aidan McGeady screamer from a Grant Leadbitter pass. Probably defensively poor from a Wimbledon perspective, but from Sunderland's perspective, it was a brilliant goal. And really, that pretty much sums up the game. McLaughlin made a few good saves as well, probably my man of the match. But Martin, I want to ask you, what was your general thoughts on the 90 minutes yesterday?
Well, I was quite miserable, obviously, in the first half. I was following it on Twitter because I was at work. And I was just, obviously, second half, extremely relieved when we scored. I was texting my mates saying, what's the crack? Some of them were at a match, you know what I mean? It's bad reception at the stadium, but getting messages every now and again. And yeah, they were just down in the mouth as well. So when Leadbitter put that pass in, finally got us, the goal we were waiting for, I was genuinely buzzing. But because I'm a Sunderland fan, I was skitzing out as well because I was expecting us to have a draw again.
Naturally. John McLaughlin did have to save us moments after that goal with a brilliant save. But Alex, what was your view?
I thought it was a pretty drab game overall. I don't think either team was particularly impressive. That's not to say I thought that we were bad by any stretch, which I think a lot of people seem to think. But no, I think Sunderland were quite mundane, but I don't think they were particularly bad in any aspect. I think AFC Wimbledon played quite well for a team in their league position. They didn't seem like a team bottom of the league. I think they held their own, and it ultimately took a screamer to separate them. But all in all, yeah, I'd say just quite a boring game that was decided by the team which had the most quality, which thankfully is us.
Johnny, I want to ask you, did we deserve to win that game? Because from my perspective, on the balance of play, I thought maybe we were a bit lucky.
I don't know if we deserve to win, and it's those kind of, that's why it was such a poor game. I guess if it was a good game, we'd probably say we deserve to win, but from what I've seen, I look at some of the chances Wimbledon had, maybe they should have been ahead very early on. That chance of McLaughlin obviously made that brilliant save from that halfway line shot, any other keeper that probably would have gone in. And I think there was this chance in the second half where the Wimbledon player just went through all the Sunderland players, had a shot at goal, and obviously it was a terrible shot, which if it was a better striker, probably would have gone in. They had, what I seem to think, more chances, or better chances at least. There was a handball shout, I believe, at some point, which I think it wasn't a handball, but no, I don't think Sunderland deserved to win yesterday, but we got the win, and that's all that matters.
And Martin, I want to ask you about set pieces, because we dissect set pieces every week and how terrible we are at defending them and terrible at taking them, and we never seem to score from them. What's your view on the set pieces? Do you think we need to be doing more from them? Do you think there's an issue there in the training ground? I mean, who's at fault?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, when you've got a set piece, you're obviously on their front foot. You've got the advantage. We should be scoring more set pieces. We should be taking better free kicks, scoring headers from corners. Obviously, I haven't seen many penalties this season, particularly. But when you don't score those things, you're just chucking a chance away. So you really should be working on those in the training ground. When I used to play football, it was only Russell Foster League type of thing, but we'd always drill the set pieces because, like I said, you've got the advantage. You have to press the advantage when you're in that position.
Yesterday, again, looked poor from set pieces. Nearly conceded a couple of times. Wimbledon, bit ways fill in front of goal from there. So still looks like even with the addition of Jimmy Dunn that we are struggling in that department. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I just think in general with set pieces, I just think there's something I really can't put my finger on it. I don't know. I mean, I was thinking that if we added someone like Jimmy Dunn to the team, another a big physical player to give a target for whoever's taking the cross, I thought that would be enough. Evidently, it doesn't seem to be the case. I really don't know. Is it? I think the issue is, I suppose, just the delivery. It's beating the first man. It's as we were saying earlier, Connor. It's getting it past the post. I just think it's not coming off. Really, I think we're trying a lot of different things, but ultimately we're undone by the fact that a very basic aspect of taking a cross isn't like embedded in the team, and I think that's for me the underlying issue. And I don't know. I think that's just all it is. I think I'm looking for a more sort of like convoluted or more sort of like deep answer, but really it just comes to that. I think they just need to beat the first man.
Could a lot of it be psychological in the sense that we know they'll see the stats, they'll know that they've not really scored from set pieces, and they'll know they've conceded most of their goals from set pieces. I think now it's in the players' heads.
Oh, perhaps.
When there's a set piece, either
maybe.
attacking or defensively, do you think the players are thinking, oh God, there's a chance we could concede, or this won't beat the front post? Do you think it could be that?
I think it is a mentality thing. We've always been poor at set pieces, and the fans obviously have been through that the whole time. So different players, but the same fans. So we all know that Sunderland have never been good at set pieces. So I guess the supporters may always be on edge when there's a corner, especially if we concede a corner. We can't defend them, let alone score from them. So I think it is a mentality thing. I think, yeah, definitely. I don't know, maybe it's just the league quality. I don't know if many teams score from set pieces in this league, but
Well, they do against Sunderland.
Against Sunderland, yeah, of course. So everyone does that, but apart from us.
It's a set piece league, though. Like the League One, League Two, they're leagues where teams are built on strong set pieces, and that's where they try and keep the games very tight. But if they get a corner, they're trying to that's where they can get goals. And
I think for a lot of teams in divisions like League One and League Two, where the general levels of quality are quite low, they probably depend on sort of clear-cut opportunities like set pieces to take a corner and knock it in. I think a lot of teams, dare I say, might struggle to just put together good goals from open play just purely because they don't have the players in their arsenal to put a nice string of passes together and have a good finisher. I think a lot of teams will probably benefit from just having a big, a fairly poor but 6'4", 15 stone target man to just leap up and just knock a free kick in or a corner. I think that's probably where a lot of teams are going to see their benefit in this league.
That's what I mean, though. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered about having Maradona or Messi on the team. I want us to score when we've got the advantage.
Yeah. Not every single goal that we score needs to be a McGeady screamer that raises everyone off the seats out of nowhere. If we have just like the odd, if 2 in every 3 goals are just a glanced header from 3 yards out, that's totally fine. You're getting promoted regardless.
Exactly,
if
I'm not bothered.
that much.
Just score.
I think it's in that sense it's a relief that we kept someone like McGeady because he has the ability to do that. He seems to be fairly poor for most of the time, but then he just has that moment of brilliance there, and that's enough to at least get a goal. And against Bradford, it was the same thing. He was the one who scored the only goal that game, and he has that sort of quality about him. We just don't see it enough. I
mean, you might be a little bit too young to remember. I'm not really sure, but this is the problem the Mags faced around about 10, 15 years ago. They were 7th in the table, and they were doing relatively well for a North Eastern team in the Premier League, and they were all kicking off because they weren't playing like Barcelona level football. We can't fall into that trap of thinking we need to have world class players who can skin everybody and that's disappointing if they don't. We just need to knock the goals in.
Do you think that's a Premier League mentality? Do you think because in the Premier League you have to basically play a brilliant 90 minutes to win a game?
Yep.
Do you think the fans now are like, well, this can't be sustained. We can't play well for 20 minutes and win because that's not how it's done. But do you think we need to change the way we think about this level?
Possibly. I mean, just speaking from personal experience, what me and my mates want to see, we know what league we're in, we know the quality of the teams. We just want to see people who are giving 100%, 110%, just showing a bit of effort and a bit of passion. I think that's good enough at this particular level. And if we're winning, of course, that's tremendous. But even if we're getting a draw, or even if we're, heaven forbid, lose, as long as somebody's really, really grafted, we're sort of pleased, to be honest with you.
But it's like the players might be giving them the role, they're just not very good.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Is like, so if we lose, people will say they're not trying. And if we win, it's like, oh, they put 110% in. It's like, well, they might have tried, they're just not very good.
Yeah, good point. I think it's just mentality as well. You want to see the players have the certain mentality at the end of the match. Like, not head down, not having a hissy fit, spitting a dummy out type of mentality. You want to have that, it's all right, and do better next time mentality.
Yeah, as long as the outcome is dignified, you can never walk away too dissatisfied.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you've been absolutely battered, but I don't, like touch wood, I don't think we're going to get battered in this league at any point.
No.
I mean, not to any horrendous standard, but no, I think that's probably it. I mean, I remember the 2-2 Peterborough. I came away just feeling just quite sickened by the whole thing because the game turned on Oviedo just kicking a player and knocking him over. And you just look and you just think, what are you doing?
It's pointless, isn't it?
I mean, I really rate him as a player, but I mean, I was there thinking, right, Costa Rican international, was not too long ago only second choice to Leighton Baines on 30, 40 grand a week, and here you are just kicking some lad from League One because you haven't got the ball. I mean, what kind of mentality is that for a professional of your caliber? So I think as you say, it's just when you see players give the role in a dignified fashion that you come away thinking, right, well, it is what it is at the very worst.
I think with confidence being shot as well in some players. I mean, if you look at someone like Wyke, we'll probably get onto him in a second, I imagine, but we have seen people have a go at Wyke because he hasn't scored a hat-trick in a game or something. It's like, give him a chance. I realise that he's, we've said when he gets back from his injury, give him a chance that he might kick on from there. It's been 6 games or so and he's not done that. But like, I guess he's not, he's not championship quality, but we're not there. We're in this league, and he's proven to be a goal scorer in this league, and he just needs to be given a chance. Everyone has bad games, and he's just gone through a bad run.
It's interesting that you said championship quality because I've seen that a lot. It's like fans are like, oh, this player's not championship quality. I'm like, well, actually, we're not in the championship, so therefore, why are we worried? It's like when I saw Will Grigg sign, people were like, oh, we've overpaid there because his record in the championship's not great. Yeah, but we're actually in League One.
Yeah,
why are we worried about the I mean, if you're in the championship and you're going for promotion, you're not worrying about whether or not he can cut it in the Premier League. You're thinking we need to go up, and then we'll think about the championship when we're in the championship.
To be honest, that's funny that what you said there about the Premier League championship comparison. It's weird how I think if we were in that situation, we just wouldn't be having this discussion at all. I think if we were a team pushing for promotion of the Premier League and would sign Cameron Jerome for $6 million, we wouldn't suddenly be going, oh, but he's not Premier League quality, he only ever does it in the Championship. We wouldn't care if it was that way around, so why is this suddenly an issue now? You see loads of teams sign players that are good by Championship standards, but are mediocre Premier League players. I mean, when you look at the likes of, like I say, Cameron Jerome, Rudy Gestede, Daryl Murphy, these players, when they're signed by teams doing well in the Championship, they're seen as a marquee signing. They're seen as, the ticket to promotion and little else. No one thinks further on. No one's worried. No one's basing that signing on how well they'll be next season. They're based them on what job are they going to do now. And that's how I see Will Grigg. If we get promoted and he doesn't do that well, I mean, I'd presume that, we wouldn't be pinning all our hopes on one striker anyway, if we've not learned from mistakes from the past. But for the time being, we're signing, a man that's regarded as nothing less than a League One goal machine. Let's see how he gets on in the Championship. You never know. He might do well, he might not, but that's then. And as we've said, this is now.
Do you think this is what we were talking about as well before, about a Premier League fan mentality, that Sunderland fans are talking about next season's squad in the Championship when actually we're third in the league at the minute, and we're thinking as a Championship club, well, actually we're not there yet.
That's what I'm worried people are falling into, especially with all the stick that I saw, the chairman getting over the last couple of days. there's nothing wrong with wanting the best and wanting us to get in the Championship and obviously in the Premier League eventually, fingers crossed. But you need to be in the here and now. And we need to concentrate on the here and now, and that's the only way you get ahead, essentially.
I feel like it's a bit of a humbling experience for some Sunderland fans who clearly still think we're a Premier League club by the way they go on. And next season, if we did go up, people will be expecting us to fight for promotion in the next league. But like, it's this, we're drawn against teams like, Charlton away, we're drawn against teams like Fleetwood at home, Oxford at home. And, you'd think it'd be a humbling experience for these Sunderland fans who clearly think, this league's easy, we'll get out of this, no problem. If we don't get out of this league this season, then it'd be interesting to see how many of them fans, change their mentality, or if they're still going to be the same. No, we're a Championship club.
It's good to have that level of optimism. It really is. We need it. But obviously, being a Sunderland fan, we've got that flip side of total pessimism as well.
Yeah.
It's a weird mixture, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess because we're not really used to being in this league and everything's just happened so quickly. You've gone from Premier League to League One in 2 seasons. It's like, wow, we've not actually had the time to adjust to being relegated from the Premier League, never mind going to the 3rd division.
I want to talk about. I want to talk about the sort of stuff you were talking about there a little bit later on. But for now, back to the game. Grant Ledbetter made his 2nd debut for the club. What do you make of him? Do you think he's going to be a difference maker on our promotion charge?
Proved to be a difference maker in the goal, and I think he got man of the match. Did he?
Yeah, did I?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah. So
Probably
already
as much as sentimental man of the match, because I think John McLaughlin was really the guy who stole the win. But
yeah, I mean, with the cross, obviously, I think was a bit lucky with the cross in the sense it bounced, but still he got to where he needed to be, got the goal. If he can continue that sort of performance, then that's fine.
I just know from his Middlesbrough days and obviously his days with us in the past, he works hard. He really does. He seems to have that mentality that he knows where he's from and what he's about. So I've got a lot of time for him. And obviously, like you said, might have been debut bias or whatever, or a little bit of debut luck, but he did the job yesterday, so why not get behind him?
Lewis Morgan made a debut yesterday, and I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought he was tremendous. He was absolutely brilliant, I thought.
Go on, continue.
Oh, yeah,
Dissect.
Just say more great things about Lewis Morgan. No, well, if you insist, why not? No, I thought he was really good. I thought every time he went down the wing, I thought he looked like he was going to do something. I thought his crosses were excellent. His first touch, I thought, was tremendous.
Very strong.
Very strong. Yeah, very strong, despite not looking very strong. Yeah, I mean, he looks like a slightly slighter version of George Honeyman.
Yeah, it was actually, if it wasn't for the fact that George Honeyman had shaved his hair a little bit, it would have been difficult.
They look, like from the back when they're both running, and I'm not looking at them face on. They look like the same person, with the exception, as I say, that Morgan looks a bit slighter. But that being said, there was a lot of times when he won the ball from from the fullback or whoever was marking him, who was normally a much bigger player, as was the case with that Wimbledon team, and he was just winning the ball off them. And with the same first touch, he could just drag it away, but kept it in control, and then just bombed down the flank and then swung across in or passed it to someone in a better position. But every time he did it, he made the right call. He looked really good. I made a tweet not too long ago.
You made a tweet.
Made a tweet. Yeah. Is that not the correct?
I would say you tweeted probably.
Well, no, but I can't if a tweeted a tweet just sounds quite redundant, doesn't it?
You don't really make it. It's like you physically make a tweet.
Well, I do make it, don't I? I type and then I hit post. I think that constitutes making something.
Okay. Sorry,
semantics.
It's like sending a text. It's like you just text somebody.
Yeah.
Sending a text. Is,
you do send it or you do make it. I mean, either or. Fundamentally, they're the same thing.
I just think making a tweet just sounds like a bit weird.
You know what? We're going to leave this tangent where I'm in the wrong and Connor's in the right, and we're going to move swiftly back to Morgan.
Yeah, go on. Continue.
Yeah, but no, that tweet that I made. Yeah.
With your own 2 hands.
With my own 2 thumbs. That tweet that I made. Yeah.
Thumbs.
Well, I type with my thumbs.
Oh yeah, you do.
I'll type it.
Yeah, you do.
By the way, he was 17. Was he the number 17? Is that right? Yes. Yeah,
that was him. Yeah.
God, you watched the game yesterday, not sure who.
Because I was like,
that's the new guy.
Yeah.
That's not Jerome Sinclair.
It's like a bit different.
Yeah.
Yes. As you said.
But yeah, no, basically.
The tweet.
Yeah.
Get back to this famous tweet. I hope this is a great tweet.
Yeah,
really
it was a very average tweet, all things considered. I was just posting what I think is our best lineup now. And I had Gooch on because I hadn't seen Morgan yet. I've never really seen him play. So I just thought, I would put Gooch in the team for now because obviously I don't, how good Morgan is remains to be seen. But I think based solely on today, I would probably swap Gooch. Yesterday, I would swap Gooch out for before Morgan.
I
think
just
based on what I
ruined your
said.
total.
He's having a great time.
He came close to scoring, didn't he?
Connor's there, sat in his little director's chair, cackling away there.
I'm the only chair that doesn't have armrests.
Yeah, well,
I sold myself short.
Clearly, you're compensating.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Max Power yesterday. We talk about him seemingly every week and say that we expect a little bit more. I saw him putting a few tackles yesterday, which I quite like the look of, but did we see enough of Max yesterday? Or are we still waiting for him to get back to that early season form?
I thought he was quite good yesterday, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Johnny?
As we said before, Cattermole and Power together don't really work, but if we get someone like Ledbetter and someone like Power who maybe have two different roles, one's more attack minded, the other one's more defensive, then it could work out. I think yesterday, going by the way people react, I guess we didn't, but none of the players played particularly well, but Power is someone who I think on his day can be a very solid centre defensive midfielder. So
Dylan McGeoch, Martin, what do you think of him?
I think he's a kind of lad. It's just another one of these things. You want to see the consistency in the players.
Mm-hmm.
You see them when they play well, and you see them when you play not so well, and you wonder why that is. And we were talking about maybe mentality before. I struggle sometimes with the players when they have this mentality of, it might be like we were saying a little bit earlier, superstition maybe, or I haven't done this right in the past, so it won't go right again. I wonder how you can break that down. I wonder if it's a managerial aspect, is it a coaching aspect? Because with players like McGock, you just do want to, you kind of want that consistency. And what would you do? Like, what would you do differently in training to make sure that these players have that self-belief? That's what I want to see again.
I don't think it's preparation. I think at the minute, we need to get the second goal in games.
Yeah.
We're getting that first one.
It's seeing a game off.
That's what I mean. So
Age-old Sunderland problem.
we know we can do it. We're scoring, I don't know what it is that makes them kind of, oh, it's all right. I'll just sit back for a bit. Or
Do you think, though, that, again, I think we talked about it last week, Jack Ross at the start of the year was pretty much taking a gung-ho approach, and we won away at Gillingham 4-1. It was a tight game, but we just kept going and going. Whereas now we feel a bit more reserved when we take the lead. But I don't know if that's a directive or if that's within the players. I mean, it's hard to tell.
what do you call it? Italians used to use it back in the day, catenaccio. So you score a goal and you shut up short, you're part of the bus type of thing. That's an all right tactic. It's boring, but if we're winning, I didn't care. But we're not that good at the minute to do that. Score a goal and sit back and think, I'll be all right.
Like we scored 4 against Rochdale and we've scored 3 against Scunthorpe, 4 against Gillingham. We clearly have the ability to score a lot of goals, and obviously the team isn't a lot different from them. We've got new signings in January, but we've still got all those players that had it in them to score 4 goals. So it is strange. I don't know, maybe the pressure of early season, get off to a good start, but now it's the nitty gritty. Everyone's expecting us to get first and second. We aren't there yet. Maybe the pressure's on the players to get there. And once we do, if we do, then maybe they'll relax and we'll see a better side. But I think maybe it's just to do with the pressure. Maybe they just don't feel relaxed at the moment. Because the fans obviously getting on their backs when they don't score the first shot they take and all that.
But this is what I wonder about. So it's sort of like at a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they all go on Twitter? Do you think they all sit there and... Because I know from being a musician, you do a good gig, you feel good, you go on Twitter, there's 100 messages, let's say. I'm not saying I'm not popular, but you see you get 100 tweets, 99 of them saying, oh, it's kind of that, and one of them goes, oh, you crap. Do you think the players are sitting there, neglecting...
Max Power obviously is on Twitter a lot.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could that be a thing? Because
everyone's human, and I know, if you get 50 messages and 3 of them are negative, do the 3 that are negative get to you? Because I know when I get, if I read on Twitter negative things about me, I'll almost miss the positive ones and I'll focus on the negative ones.
It's human nature, yeah.
That's the way it is, yeah.
So I think sometimes, again, we'll talk about sort of social media because of the podcast yesterday with Stewart Donald, but I think people don't realise the impact. Everyone's still human. Just because you earn 10, 20 grand a week doesn't mean that when you read something negative, it isn't going to get to you.
There's a culture of of it being okay to just say what you want about someone because they're on a pedestal. I think because someone's on Twitter and because loads of people can just say whatever they want to them, whenever they want, however they want, using, as I said, just using a medium like Twitter or Facebook, because they can do that and because this person is on a pedestal, it's okay to do it. There's a very certain culture about that. If you want to go on Twitter after a match and and call Max Power any name under the sun, you can literally just do that. It's in your control to just have a go at him. Even if the tweet gets taken down, he says it first, and that's the impact it has on the player. It's absolutely a factor, as you said, in the modern day. It absolutely must tie into it, because as you said as well, Connor, they're all, every footballer is a human being before they are an athlete, and they're going to see these tweets and they're going to think that. If you see them especially when you're a young lad, if you see them that much and in such frequency when something's going wrong, if you're the corner taker and you see 50, 100, 150 tweets saying that, we can't beat the first man, or it's a massive joke that we can't take corners, you're going to think about that when you take the next one.
Of course, yeah.
You're going to think about how it's a joke, and that would definitely get to you. If you're sat there thinking, right, there's people in those stands who are looking at this corner taking and they're cracking jokes already about it. I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that people think that deeply and that analytically about their own criticism. I think I would.
I was just thinking about it, like in terms of comparing it with the past type perspective. Successes we've had in the past, the players have usually been quite isolated. That's usually the case with footballers. They live in a certain area, they hang around in certain circles. But you've got some lads coming through now, 16, 17, 18, 19, who've only known social media. They've grown up with social media their entire life. And I just wonder, is that naturalised to them, reading themselves, like people slagging them off?
Yeah.
Or would they be okay with it? Are the 25, 26-year-olds, are they the ones kind of stressing about it because it's sort of new in a sense?
Yeah.
And the older players probably didn't really have it.
No.
So I'm just wondering, could that be a factor?
I think so. I think someone like John O'Shea, that would have been a completely alien concept. Even Grant Ledbetter, Twitter didn't come in at the fold until about 2010. And even so, it wasn't popular until a bit later on. I think that the earliest I knew of Twitter was when Darren Bent was saying stuff about coming to Sunderland, and that was a sensation at the time because this player's just saying stuff online and he can do that. But it's come a long way in a very short space of time. So I dare say that could be something. I
just thought about it the other day and I've never really considered
definitely.
it. Because footballers tend to have a longer career if everything goes well than maybe other people in the media might do. Because in the media you're up and down, whatever. Footballers, if you stay at a team for a certain amount of time, you just you plod along. And if that comes in, you just get a wave of abuse, not just on the pitch or in the echo or whatever. It just comes directly to your phone. It must affect your performance on the day.
Do you think, did everyone listen to the Stewart Donald podcast yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah. He talked quite a lot about social media and threats that he'd received from fans. What did you make from that? I mean, number one, do you think, how much of it is Sunderland fans? How much is it just general Twitter trolls? There's Twitter trolls all over the place who can pose as a Sunderland fan. Even so today, there was a fake Stewart Donald account that popped up this morning. That came into my notification. I was like, what's he tweeting that for? Oh, it's not him. Do you think that's something Sunderland fans should think about when, they've got this direct access almost to Stewart Donald and they can't tweet to him whatever they want, and he, may well read it? Do you think fans need to think about what they put on?
They should, but they won't.
Yeah.
They won't think about it. I mean, when I listened to that, obviously I was fuming yesterday listening to that podcast. Obviously, I've calmed down a bit, but people sending impersonal messages to Stewart Donald about his family because they're not getting what they want. Like, those people should be banned from the ground. I don't care if they apologise. You can't get away with that, because now we'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. Well, you've already said it, and it's not right.
There's certain standards, isn't it? You can be annoyed at a business decision or a team decision or a team, whatever. But when you're going after somebody's family, that's obviously not on.
If you're not happy with what they've done for the club, well, I mean, think about a year ago. I think I'm quite happy with
the way things are now. The distinction that needs to be made, though, is I'm not saying that a fan can't tweet Stewart Donald saying they have a legitimate concern.
Absolutely.
Stewart, why aren't the speakers replaced? And if they send that and it's in a nice way, it's just a question, that's fine. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. I think it's when, I see sometimes stuff on Twitter and I'm just like, people are going, clearly the owners have got no money, they're not spending money, we've got these cowboys in, all that kind of stuff goes on there, and that's just not helpful.
No, it is, obviously. It's a fans game. If you put it down, it will be nothing without the supporters.
Yes.
They should have a voice, and I think it's only right that you have a voice to air your grievances. But you're right, it's about how you do it. You've got to have a certain standard. It's great that we can tweet him straight away and say, look, here, what's up with this? And most of the time he gets back and it's a good answer. But it's when you start, just have a standard. Don't swear. Don't be overly irate and don't get personal.
I think, dare I say, like a PTSD almost of Sunderland's past.
Yeah,
You know,
you're
like
right, yeah.
we get to this time of the year usually, and it's like, oh well, we're not getting anybody in. You know, we're waiting for someone, and nothing happens. And maybe it's just because we're so used to that disappointment. We're like, oh no, not again, please, not again. And then we get all defensive and like, what are we going to do? You know, they start panicking. And now they've got this opportunity where they can tweet the chairman. We couldn't tweet Ellis Short, or you know, other fans can't tweet their chairman. You know, it's quite a rare thing that we have. And we're so used to disappointment, I guess. You know, it's like this is going really well, and it feels like we're just waiting for something to go wrong. We're just waiting because we're used to that. You know, as I say, just like the panic, and it's this like something that we're used to. We can't, you know, get away from it really.
And obviously we're like a whinge.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
No, of course
we've got a
nothing wrong with
platform here, and we whinge, and that's, you know, as long as it's done in an all right way, I don't think anyone has a problem.
Yeah.
It's when it starts getting personal. That's when you know.
Like if someone says they don't like a footballer because he doesn't think he's very good, that's one thing. But then like, you know, go into taking a dig at their family or personal things like that, well, it's got nothing to do with, you know, they might be a really nice person. Just because they're not a very good footballer doesn't mean they're not a nice person or whatever. And like Stewart Donald clearly has the football club at heart constantly. He's said that many times. He's like, you know, that's the only thing he thinks about. We should be grateful for that. I mean, like if he suddenly left, you know, that's disaster. So
And also, like, you know, I'm not trying to like come over to like, you know, suck arse or whatever, but he's put himself out there and he does answer questions. He doesn't do an Ellis Short and hide away and pretend we don't exist.
Even when we're in the face of perceived adversity, when we haven't got a signing, you know, he's talking to the fans.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in spite of the comments he's getting. I mean, I can totally understand if he gets a comment calling him all sorts that he wouldn't want to reply. But as you say, he's putting himself out there and he's addressing the concerns as best he can. And at no point have I ever suspected he's been anything less than completely honest.
I mean, I can't even get a reply from like EE. You know what I mean? And chairman of the club's like tweeting people back and stuff.
I wouldn't begrudge him one bit if he deletes his Twitter though. And just keeps
Absolutely
on the way.
not.
I don't think he, you know, I mean, especially if we get promoted again, more publicity comes towards him. Especially if we're a Premier League club, you know, I would think it'd be best if he just didn't have it.
See, I don't mind him being on it because I think it serves a good purpose. I think it honestly gets more from it than what he loses through people being idiots. And I think maybe he needs to think, right, I'm just got a channel that doesn't exist. Yes, they're being arseholes. Forget about it, move on. But if somebody's got a genuine query that he can help with, you know, I mean, I know he sold a lot of boxes and corporate suites himself in the summer because people were tweeting him directly. So he does have a purpose, I think, on Twitter. So I wouldn't say necessarily should delete it.
It's dangerous though, because as I said, one quick thing is it's dangerous because people can make pseudonyms, people can make false accounts and stuff, and you know, people can make an account without their face on it, so then you won't even know who it is. And
needs to get himself verified, man.
Yeah, to be honest.
I'm surprised he isn't.
That's a big shout. Actually, he does need to get himself verified. That's how you get rid of that issue.
Yeah,
right.
That's why it exists, the verification feature. So
I'm waiting for mine. You're verified, aren't you?
I don't know how.
It just happened.
I think somebody got in touch with like a fake poets account. So I tweeted them. I was like, "What are you doing?" And then
fake
I think
poets.
Yeah, like just you know,
Class.
somebody being a schneid. And then Twitter just did it for us. So it's quite
that's
nice.
Cool. So I need to make like a fake Conor Bromley or something.
Bronna Comley.
I do that.
The Conor Bromley.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Stewart Donald, though, I think it'd be a good time to talk about the January transfer business. I think if we're going to rate it between 0 and 10, I think he gets a solid 9. I think the recruitment team did a hell of a job. If you look at where we were January 1st to where we are now, we lost Madja. That was the big blow, but we replaced him sufficiently with a goal scorer, which, you know...
Was that last transfer? I mean, you know, it's as I said in the one on YouTube, it's a fickle game, you know. If we didn't sign Will Grigg, things would have been a failure for transfer.
And do you know what? Back to the point about Stewart Donald, the fact that he organised this podcast at 8:30 on deadline day when he didn't know whether or not it was going to be good or bad, I think speaks a lot about him. Because he could easily have just been, no, I'm not doing a pod. For the January transfer business, how do we rate it? Is it fair to say 8, 9 out of 10? Would you agree?
Gets an 8 from me.
I was pretty pleased, yeah.
8 with the potential to rise to a 9 or a 10, depending on how many Greek scores.
Fair play.
If he gets 15, it's a 9. If he gets 20, it's a 10.
I was a bit down the wire though, and I was talking to my mates and following a few things. Was it Thursday or Wednesday? Obviously talking about a couple of people who I wasn't particularly keen on signing. And a few people were particularly keen on signing. There was a bit of a debate for maybe
there was a certain striker, I'm sure you're all aware.
Yeah.
Which, you know, Donald did confirm we were interested in him. But yeah, that didn't happen. We got somebody who's a proven goal scorer.
Yeah, brought up a few interesting conversations with me and my mates and a few people I saw online, but I'm glad of the result in the end.
Massive debate about, that guy.
And given how much we've grown to like our new dressing room and the personas of our new players, I think it's best that was avoided at all costs. But that's the most I'll say on that, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, happy transfer window, decent. Happy transfer window, happy transfer window,
happy
everybody.
Transfer window.
Good transfer window. Obviously, Will Grigg being the marquee signing in that one, and I think he'll get he'll get plenty of goals in the team. He's proven he can.
Song as well, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
You're gonna release your own version.
We'll do a remix.
I think honestly, you do a remix of that, you'll sell loads.
Yeah. If you do an acoustic Will Griggs on Fire, that will be like the opening track for the
you've got to
season
think
2 of
about
the
that.
Netflix
Yes.
doc.
We'll sort it out.
Now the Sod's Law would be Sunderland's look would be Will Grigg will probably get injured for the rest of the season. But, let's hope he doesn't.
I think you should work on that,
We'll sort it out.
Yeah, because I think if you did that, get in touch with the club, get them to play it before the games, you'll be a millionaire before the end of the month. I'm telling you, you'll do well.
So did that start with Will Grigg, that chant, or did it start with
Just Wigan fans, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I'm wondering if it started with somebody else and they've just adapted it to them.
When you think about it, though, why did that particular chant get so popular?
Just 2 syllables.
Maybe he was just at one point actually on fire, and they were like, "Will Grigg's on fire."
Yeah.
The defense is actually terrified.
Yeah.
because he's on fire.
Because he's running that goal and he's actually on fire.
Yeah.
I think it's quite witty for a football chant.
Because I thought it came from Northern Ireland fans because they
adopted it during that Euro.
Oh, okay. Right.
It was that previous season because Will Grigg, I think it was 15-16, Wigan went up and he scored 28 goals or something. Actually, I know he scored 28 because I watched the video on YouTube on the side because I'm a massive loser.
Yeah. Mind you, that chant we had for Januzaj that was in the tune of that Stone Roses song had massive potential.
Yeah, but Januzaj was shit.
Yeah.
Yes, he was dreadful, wasn't he?
Well, that's ultimately the Achilles heel. But that was such a great idea, and people were actually singing that before he showed himself up to be a complete fraud.
Good chant as well.
Really, really good chance.
So, at this
if
level,
he was a decent player and person, that would be
he
great.
scored against Shrewsbury though, so I think if we could get him back at this level, he might do a job.
Hey, I mean, honestly, Adnan Januzaj strikes me as the kind of person with the right attitude to come to League One for purely the goodness of that chant. If there was ever a selfless person who dropped down 2 divisions and a substantial amount of wages, it's obviously Adnan Januzaj. So I think,
Clearly.
Stewart Donald, if you're listening, you have to sign him, otherwise everything's bad forever.
The best chant that we've still had, I still stand by, is Dribble Cissé's chant.
that was a good chant.
That was my favourite
Really,
one.
really good chant, that.
Yes.
Just because I do not agree with Alex on Adnan Januzaj. Do not sign him.
Well, I mean, it was hopefully an obviously sarcastic comment.
I just wanted to make it clear because people can't see your face.
Yeah.
They might be leaving this going,
Yeah.
God, that Alex on ROKER Report thinks it was just like Januzaj.
To be
there are
honest,
some fans out there
and
who will believe
my
that.
sort of tone is quite dry anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to head this off by saying that I am definitely being sarcastic and I cannot stand the footballer Adnan Januzaj. So please don't sign
Even
him.
that name just gets me bloodborne. I'm like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Some exchange betting companies run short-lived promotions, like months-long offers of low commission. At BetDAG, we wanted to change the way we did things, so we set our commission at 2% permanently. That's 2% on football, horse racing, golf, almost any sport. 2%. That's just one way that BetDAG is changing for the better. For the better, like you. BetDAG, the 2% commission exchange.
Over 18s only, please gamble responsibly. What do you think? Next week got Oxford. What do you think the team's going to be? Do you think there'll be changes? Do you think it's possible McGeoch might slip in? Luke O'Nien was harshly dropped, I felt, at the weekend.
Definitely.
And came on and looked good. So is he likely to come in?
Do you think you should go back to right back, perhaps? O'Nien?
Oh, I don't know. I quite like Adam Matthews. I would actually try and fit Luke O'Nien in somewhere in the final third.
Yep.
I don't know who you would drop out, but I suppose that's not my problem. It's Jack Ross's.
I mean, if Grigg is fit enough, then you surely should start him, I'd say. I mean, there's a lot of hype around him, and I guess what he needs to do is just get that first goal, and then, we can see he's capable of getting the goals for us. I think, that first goal is going to be the challenge for him. Once he's got it, he should be fine. But, I think he just needs to start. When he's fit, play him, as far as I'm concerned.
Do you reckon there's any legs in a Charlie Wyke with Luke O'Nien sitting behind him, like Akinfenwa at Wickham was with Luke O'Nien?
Well, I mean, I don't think...
If Will Grigg isn't 100%, is that something you could do?
I think it's an idea. I think then you have to factor in where you fit Honeyman, but I think it's an idea.
Would you drop Honeyman in deeper? Where he was playing and played really well recently?
Again,
but then I suppose
you possibly could, but then that's at the expense of Power or Ledbetter
or McGeoch or whoever else. Yeah,
I think I'd personally, I think that while Power did play better yesterday, I would still be inclined to drop him for 09. I think I might have said this. I don't know whether I said this last week or if I've said this at some point, but I think I just said it to one of my mates at some point. I don't know.
Mates?
Mates.
Really?
Yeah. I'm as surprised as you are that I've still got some of those. But
I mean, if he likes Adnan Januzaj, like, you know.
I mean, that's a very, very fair point, Johnny. But see, I've lost my train of thought now, Connor.
Sorry, I've totally ruined your day.
You keep just putting spanners in me works, and I'm not about that. But right, yeah. So yeah, I think our midfielders. I think a lot of our midfielders are good, and for that reason, they sort of become much of a muchness. So I think it's a nice problem to have, but it always seems that the team selection is harsh on one player. I know 1 week it's harsh on McGeoch because he played well last week, but then someone's come in and Ross has wanted to try that in the system. This week it's harsh on 09 because he wants to try Power and Ledbetter for whatever reason. Not that I'm saying that that's right or wrong, just that I'm saying that he's had an idea with players that are all very solid players at this level, and obviously it's got the results, so you can't complain. But
that's why I hate the transfer, January transfer, because it just screws your team up, because you get into a certain rhythm, and like we were talking about the players before, it's about the consistency and it's about a rhythm. And when you're dropping players and you're trying things and changing things because you've got new lads and lads have gone, it really just does mess with the team. I'm not, and surely it must just be financial reasons, the January transfer, because I'd prefer it if it wasn't there, really.
I think yesterday it seemed to me that I think going forward, Sunderland are not going to be a team that will really get involved in the January transfer window, because Stewart said that
he wants it all done in summer, didn't he?
Yeah. I think January transfer window for me should exist for if you need a loan to just assure an area up for depth. Before we get on to talking to you, Martin, about sort of, you doing your singing thing, your guitar thing, atmosphere at the stadium. Yesterday, the game was probably the worst atmosphere I've had at the stadium for a while, especially for a game we've won. So is it good enough? Can we improve it? And what do we make of the Red and White Army's initiative for flags, where they want to raise £5,000 to, produce some banners and flags to go at the bottom of the ROKER end?
Oh, why not?
I think it would look great. I mean, you see sometimes when you look at Anfield or whatever, and all those flags in the Kop end, and it looks amazing. And I think some people might argue it's corny or whatever. I don't care. I think it looks good. I think it'd be a good atmosphere.
It's a bit of a laugh as well, isn't it? Yeah. But why'd you go to football? You don't go to football to have some people do, have a miserable time.
I was going to say, I think we do.
We do, sort of. But you go have a laugh. I've been lucky enough to go to quite a lot of German games on my travels and that. And over there, obviously, it's all standing stadiums, especially in the lower leagues. And they've got flags and they've got flares and they've got fireworks. They've got all sorts. And it's class. You just feel like you're part of some daft event. I don't want us to go down the Yank route, because I fundamentally despise that type of
scenario. There's a way that can go horribly wrong.
But there's no wrong with having a flag and having, just gone on a bit daft, because if you create that atmosphere, it creates a different type of electricity and a buzz, and it might G the players a little bit.
There's a way you can use, if you want to call them props, like flags and banners, to sort of generate a better atmosphere.
Just not the clappers.
Without it being artificial, like the very Yank commercialised way. But I mean, when you're in Germany, did you ever go to Dortmund?
Yes, I did the wall, right?
The yellow wall, yeah. When you see the yellow wall, that puts it all in perspective. That is an atmosphere. That is the exemplary atmosphere by which all sort of like diehard supporter areas of stadiums should adhere to. That's the standard that we should be sort of getting the South Stand to try their best to emulate. I mean, obviously, as a League One team, you're not going to make a red and white wall when you're in League One. And that's far too unrealistic an expectation. But
but why is that
if we raise money to get some banners going and some flags, just to sort of like give just to make the place look a bit more alive, if nothing else. You're not going to suddenly just like drive all the pessimists and turn them into optimists, but you're going to go some way to making a more positive atmosphere, and that's ultimately what we need, because that's what we're lacking. I'm not going to start, saying, oh, okay, guy who sits in row 17, seat 654, you need to be more optimistic. But we can't all sit there and just moan at them all game. if we're not beating a team 4-0, we can't just decide to only raise the voices when we're either getting annoyed at the referee or if we want to tell a player that he should have passed earlier. Because they're good, like we've got a League One team. They're not going to be the Premier League or good Championship team that you want. It's not going to be the finished product. And in this league, you cannot be particularly great and still win a game, as evidenced yesterday. So you've just got to sort of like take it as it is. I'm not saying they have to be happy all the time. There's a balance, but you just.
I think there's an argument that when they do the season ticket renewals in April, they can say to people, "Do you want to get involved in singing flags, all that jazz?"
Mm-hmm.
And then people like me, to be honest, I like looking at it. I don't want to get involved in it. I just want to watch the game. That's just the way I am. I'm not really bothered about singing. I just want to sit, take the game in, make my own thoughts.
If you don't want to sing, that makes you a mag.
I know.
Well, that's the thing. Like myself, I'm not one who gets involved with chants a lot. I'll shout and express my opinion sometimes, but I've never chanted.
Express it sometimes.
Yes,
soft
occasionally.
Yes, yeah. If the referees are really annoying, I don't often swear at the players. Like some of them just like openly swear constantly.
Yeah, I don't like that very much.
No,
but I think like Charlie Methven did say once, like the Borussia Dortmund model, so that can go into the
crowd.
Yeah.
Honestly, right, I implore anybody listening to go and like experience a match in Europe if you can.
Mm-hmm.
It's class. It's a class atmosphere. There's like we went to Cologne purely for the reason because FC Cologne, like really low league team playing red and white. So we all went along, loads of Sunderland supporters. They've seen loads of Sunderland supporters over the years,
right.
and we had a class time. And there was only about 2,000 people there. But we were making the most noise because the German fans like G'd us on, and we were like, so we just went a bit daft. And it does make a difference. Like there was one player we picked on the keeper just because his name was funny, and we just chanted his name the entire match. Right. And he played a blinder and he got man of the match. And I'm not saying it was us, but it felt part of something. If that makes any sense.
So if you get a chant for Charlie White, go and he'll start scoring goals.
Exactly.
There you go. That's it.
It does count. I think it does. And fair play. My dad's the same. He just likes to sit there and analyse the game. He never gets into a chant. He's like a proper strategist,
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It'll get more people who are maybe on the fence involved as well, who become, what do we call ourselves? Sunderland supporters. You've got to give a bit of support.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
You've got it, but it's like, obviously, it's subjective how you support them. If you want to support them by getting involved with that, that's great. If you want to support them by just being there and just enjoying the game, then that's your,
Yeah, I mean, that comes back to that. I mean, again, that just comes back to balance. You shouldn't ever be a happy clapper for the sake of, just being a happy clapper, I mean, just because some bloke, i.e. me, is sat there on a pod saying, oh, you should be more positive. It doesn't mean you have to be. No, absolutely not. If you're not disposed to just constant irritating positivity, then that's completely fair enough. But as you've said there, if you're a supporter, it'd be nice to just do some support every now and then. You can sit there and you don't have to be just like bouncing off the walls throughout the entirety saying about how everything's great and nothing's wrong. But if you just sat there exclusively criticising, it's not support. Well, by definition, it's not.
When I've been season ticket for years, and unfortunately I had to give it up because I've worked away a lot these days. I always remember there was a couple in front of us, a little bit older than me dad, and all they did was complain. Like, that's all they did. Like, when we scored, didn't really celebrate. When anything went well, didn't really celebrate. But when something went wrong, that's when they got up. Yeah. And that's when they shouted and they screamed. That's when they were animated. And I was like, hopefully we don't have that many supporters like that. I'm
because you got to think, like, you're spending money and like you're spending money on stuff that you don't enjoy. Like, what's the point in that? Like,
I suppose the argument would be, though, I mean, they pay their money, they can do what they want.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think we're kind of alluding to the idea that Sunderland has an amazing fan base, but at the minute, maybe our support, in the literal sense of support, is not where it needs to be.
No.
Is that a fair thing to say? I'm not even sure if I agree with that myself, but do you think that's something that, maybe we do need to look at ourselves and say...
I think it could be better. I do think it could be better. I think given the circumstances, we could be doing a bit more for the general positivity.
But we understand why that is, though, because obviously double relegation, it's...
I mean...
Everyone's...
Yeah.
It was a very sick at the end of the season, and had the new owners not came in, God knows where I'd be right now, probably in a gutter somewhere crying.
Yeah.
But the fans are still getting over that, aren't they? So I understand. I'm never going to slate anybody for going to the game, paying their money and wanting to shout at the team for the full 90 minutes. I get it. We've been crap for the last few years, but maybe we do have to look at ourselves a little bit and go, are we supporting the team or are we judging this team on the last 2 years?
Yeah. To be honest, I think if we were where we were last season, I would think that an attitude of constant, unrelenting negativity would be completely justified.
Yeah.
I think if we were enduring a third extremely mediocre season,
we could only pray for extremely mediocre last year.
Yeah, I think if Martin Bain was still here, we still had Ella Short's Iron Curtain. I think if we'd appointed another manager who'd just been sacked and replaced by another manager who was, slightly better looking, but ultimately still not as good, then I think we'd be in the same situation again. I'd be like, I wouldn't blame the fans at all for being negative, and I would applaud them just for being there. As I felt last season, I thought everyone who was at the stadium last season sitting through that absolutely horrendous stuff, I think you did brilliantly to get to even one game, let alone a whole season. But I think we're in it. Where we're at now is a different world. It's an entirely different era. Almost all the remnants of the double relegation for me are gone. The only lasting aspect of its legacy is our league position. Is the league we're in. But really, that should serve as a springboard. We're doing very well in this league. We're as it stands, we're fourth. We've got 3 games in hand. Should we win them all, we're tied top with Luton, who we could easily catch. Given that scenario, this is a different era. This is a different time, and I think based on that, we shouldn't be as negative as what we are. We could be just a bit more positive. I think I've said every variation of that now. So I
take your point fully. If people spending their money they've worked hard for, they can choose what they want to do at the match. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I think if you maybe have a sit down, have a 2-minute think about what you're actually going there for, wouldn't you not want to have a good time? Mm-hmm. Especially when we're winning.
But if everyone's happy, everyone's time's better.
Yeah,
that's just the way it is.
It was like, for me, it was bizarre. Like, I mean, this is the first time that I've experienced where we're doing fairly well. We get 3 points, and the fans are still complaining. I'm like, well, we've just won a game, and Portsmouth, who were catching up, the wheels are practically falling off at the moment. They've we've got an opportunity to get second, and it's like we're not, 21st or 22nd in League One. We're 3rd in the league, and we're, very close to possibly getting promoted again. And like, you get 3 points. You want to get the 3 points, you get them. You should be happy. I know, obviously, maybe at that moment the game isn't great to watch, but like, you get 3 points, you get the win. What's more important,
It's that tendency, like you said, about thinking about the future. We're thinking we're a championship team already. We're thinking we're a Premier League team in 2 years' time, and we've got that. I don't know what the word would be, but I'm sure there's a psychological term. We're pessimistic for things that aren't even happening.
Yeah. Right. Last 10 minutes. I'm going to devote this to you, Martin. So, firstly, why are you a Sunderland fan? Is it geography? Is there another reason?
So I was born in Sunderland, in Harrington. Went to Harrington School and then Farringdon. So I've just grown up with a strong Sunderland supporting friendship group and family group, and why wouldn't I be?
Oh yeah, family Sunderland fans.
Yeah, every single one of them. Yeah. Even the ones that have moved away. A couple of my families moved down south for work and various things, and
still lads fans.
Yeah. I don't know why. I've never understood why you wouldn't be. Really, to be quite honest with you, if you're from here, why would you go and support somebody else? Like, if I have a son or a daughter and they move away, I'd like to think that they would.
You gotta force them.
No, I wouldn't force them.
Nah, you gotta force them.
I'd like to think that they would take that with them. Instead of just.
It's part of identity, isn't it?
Of course it is. Yeah. It's very important. I strongly believe that's very important, especially in the 21st century, where everybody's just becoming this horrible, massive, like, commercial Americanness. We're all, everybody's trying to be somebody off Twitter or Instagram. To have something that's ours, even if it might have been pants the last couple of seasons, it's still ours.
Yeah.
And we can go, like I said, I've been lucky enough to travel around with music, and I've met people abroad, and you're from Sunderland, and we've just talked about Sunderland, about the football team primarily, and just various bits of music and this and that, and I feel it very strongly. It must be quite boring if you're from LA or New York or London and say, I'm from London. Well, so is everybody else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I do take that very...
If you're a Sunderland fan and you meet another Sunderland fan, you could just talk about Sunderland.
Instant mates.
Yeah. Even if you're totally different people in every aspect, but you've got that one thing in common.
What's that thing I mentioned earlier? I went to go and see Fortuna Cologne. They play in red and white. We play in red and white. Instant pals. Yeah. And that was it. They were Germans.
That was it, yeah.
They know all about Sunderland. City. We know all about them.
The thing in common was the colour of the strip. And really, in any other context, that would be meaningless. Yeah. But in football, it goes so far.
It makes a difference.
Yeah. It really does. I feel that very strongly. So to take that a little bit further, that's why I write sometimes about the area. That's why I sing in my local dialect and I sing in my accent as well, because I'm from here and I'm proud to be from here. I'm not trying to be anybody else. And that I reflect that in the football team as well.
How has the last couple of months been since the Netflix documentary? In fact, before you answer that, how did your song Getting On There, how did that come about?
So I wrote it quite a while ago, actually.
It's like 2-3 year old?
Yeah, so end of 2015, album came out, debut album, made it over in Nashville.
Tennessee? Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty fun, again,
nice
but
Class.
load of Mackems, all of us, about 9 of us went over and made tons of friends over there. Now they all know about Sunderland. And that's what I mean. You just share it around. My mate from Nashville, Jordan, he's from Florida. Moved to Nashville. He loves pro golf and baseball and basketball and all those American sports. But he's got a Sunderland top, and he wears it in Nashville. And he sends us a picture every now and again, just because he's one of us now. You know what I mean? So I made that album, and a couple of the songs were based about the area and my granddad and my family and experience of industrial decline and stuff like that. And the Netflix lads from Full 73 sent us a lovely email. They said, we really love this song. We've came across it. Somebody's said it might be suitable for this documentary. And I knew about the documentary anyway that was going to be happening, so I was excited anyway. And I was just expecting to get it on, a little bit of a montage perhaps in the first episode where they're just showing all this stuff that's crap. You know what I mean? Like, you usually get these things about the Northeast and it's look at all this wasteland crap. And I was like, oh God. But they went, no, I want to use it in a positive kind of frame for the opening credits. And the guys from really nice lads, Alchemy Productions, sent up this storyboard of all the iconic things and places and architecture of the area with me song over the top. And I was like, wow, this is mint. Like, I was really happy because it painted us in the light we should be in, not this pants, flat cap whip with everybody's poor type thing. It was like, look at the class stuff we've got. And I was really chuffed. And then I watched the documentary and it was just framed perfectly, and I was just really delighted. And I'm still getting messages, even though it's like the 3rd, 4th of February, from people who was watching it yesterday or the day before and saying, look, this is class, love the song. And that's just, again, another little bit of my heart swelling that we're sharing something that's ours with the world.
And it's great, I thought. I remember when I saw the first episode and I heard that song, and I thought, yeah, that song and the opening graphics and the whole thing, like, it sets the mood and the aesthetic perfectly. It's not, as you say, it's not flat cap, everyone's poor. Nothing about that gentrifies Sunderland. Nothing about this is like, oh, look at this area with poor people in. Look at how the industrial declines devastated another northern city. It's very sort of like, it draws on the sort of like the cultural heritage of Sunderland in not a way that it's forcing pride, not a way that it's hitting the area. It's just being profound. And I think that's a really sort of like strong, like emotional standpoint for the documentary. It's showing. Ultimately, the documentary is about a decline, but at the same time, the pride in the area is consistent across it. It's a motif that's carried across, and I think from the get-go, you need a good opening song that does that. And obviously, your song's done that to a T. It's
I was delighted. I was genuinely delighted. Because these type of things you usually have to pitch for. You 99% of the time you get knocked back, but they came to me.
Yeah,
which is a very rare thing. So I was obviously delighted with that. But once I got the whole theme in my head, a lovely fella called Richard picked the song, and he's a genius. Like, I've seen some of his other work he's done, and he's just got that knack for picking the right song for the right time. So I'm forever in his debt, really. But the song was written about, yes, we don't come from Paris or Milan or London, and we've had a bit of bad luck. But the point is, we don't whinge about it. Like, you just pick yourself up and you get on with it, because we've always done that, and we have to do that. That's how you get on, and that's what obviously the documentary's about as well. It's got that mixture of us kind of getting beaten down, the team getting, having a terrible couple of seasons, terrible run, laughing stock really, but still going, stuff yous, puff your chest up, we're going to give it another go. And I think that's what we're all about.
Aye.
Was this your big break, would you call it?
I don't know, I don't really think like that, to be quite honest with you. What I'm more delighted about, if there's any songwriters listening or any musicians listening, it's actually a song that I really like.
Yeah.
So, like, you do a bit of work, you put a song out, and most of the time you get sick of it. You're like, oh, I can't stand this song. I've got to play it because somebody wants to hear it. And you just get pig sick of playing this song, and you go, I don't even feel that way anymore. Like, that situation's gone. It's like a diary. You write your diary, you forget about it. You write a song, you sing it. That emotion's in that frame, back in the past now. But I love this song because I wrote it from the heart about somebody I care deeply about, who was a huge inspiration of mine. So every time I get to sing it, or every time anybody says they like the song, I feel great.
Does it ever feel like surreal to you, though, knowing, like, when you hear your song back, knowing that the amount of people who love this song, does it ever feel like, wow, this is my stuff?
Yeah, it's truly a wonderful, humbling experience, to be quite honest with you. I've written songs for money, I've sang songs for money that I didn't particularly like, that I didn't really think about. You just do it and you go home, it's a paycheck. But this one I deeply care about, And to have other people deeply care about it too and say that speaks to me 100%. It's just a truly wonderful feeling. It really, really is. And I don't think I'm ever going to get that ever again. Fingers crossed I do. But if I can take away that for one winter, one Christmas time, a song I wrote donkeys ago about my granddad made a load of people come together and feel good, I think I'll die happy, to be quite honest with you.
How does it feel? I was listening to Absolute Radio 90s the other day.
Yeah.
And it's got, what's his name? The West Brom fan.
Childs.
No, the other one.
Conor
Skinner,
Bromley.
Frank Skinner.
Oh, yeah.
And I was listening to that the other day, and they played a segment where one of the presenters sang it.
Really?
Yeah, there was a segment where one of the presenters sang it, and they put it at half speed. Because apparently one of the presenters, all he was talking about was watching this documentary. And he played the song at half speed, and I was like, wow, it's crazy that it's got that much of a national mainstream.
It is nuts. Like, I've had tweets from all sorts of people on the BBC.
James Corden.
James Corden, obviously. It was quite a nice tweet. I was quite pleased with that. He's doing all right, isn't he? Yeah, like just various people who I've seen on telly, or I've heard on the radio, or I've seen in a film. They're just getting in touch with us on Twitter because somebody said, "Oh, that's Marty," and then they found us or something. And it's like, wow, these like quite eminent people who I've seen in the media for years. I've never courted them. They've just kind of got in touch with me. It's a nice feeling. But like I said, like I've never really been interested in getting huge or famous or being like a mega pop star.
No.
I just like writing songs.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear that sort of humble,
Yeah.
approach.
To be quite honest with you, I don't think I'm cut out for it. Like the whole schmoozing and the whole being false and the whole this and that type of lifestyle, I don't like it. And I've been in those circles, and I've had people who've had record deals who've been my friends, and I've been to LA and I've been to like New York and I've been to Nashville and stuff, and they're not very happy, these people. They're just chasing something that doesn't really exist. So that's why I'm so pleased that this song, which is just such a real life piece of me, has touched so many other people. It really is like a total buzz.
Put you on Boxing Day. Yeah, you're on the pitch. How does that feel? What was that like? Nervous, or were you
not
okay?
at all. No, it's totally fine.
Is it the biggest crowd you've ever played in front
Yeah,
of?
definitely, yeah. No, I wasn't nervous at all. I was too busy watching the match, actually. It was about 43 minutes in the first half, and I was like, oh, God. I had to reg downstairs. And Frankie, Frankie and the heartstrings, Frankie was there waiting for us, and there's the mic, there's this and that. And we had a bit of a run through a couple of days before, and everybody was sound. It sounded good. I was worried it was going to sound really crap, because it's such a large stadium, obviously.
That sounded great.
Everybody says the speaker system's pants. But we had a run through, and it must have just been like the tone on the guitar, the tone of my voice wasn't too deep, wasn't like a drum kit in the middle of the pitch or anything. Just cut through. Everybody went quiet. I was in my element because I know what I'm doing. I enjoy singing that song, and I'm a massive Sunderland fan. So I was just chuffed. I had a big smile on my face, and then it went over like that, and I just walked off, and I was like, that was mint.
Do you ever, like at night, think about it and go, Jesus, that was like really cool?
Yeah, of course I do.
Because it doesn't sink in, does it, at the time?
No, not at all. I just went and had a pint and watched that extra bit of the match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at the time, I just went, oh, cool, that was cool. My wife was like, nice one anyway. Let's start watching the match again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I got home and I was like, Christ, that was canny. And then obviously the tweets flood in, and I've got a video on my Facebook at the minute. Somebody kindly filmed it and sent it to us. I posted it on my Facebook, and that's still getting likes, a month and a bit after. But what's been really funny is there's just loads of mags. Somebody must have posted it on a mag forum or something.
All right.
So there's tons of mags like chipping it all the time, saying I'm crap and the team's crap and everything like that. So it's quite funny.
You got a new album coming out, or?
Yes, so I've been making an album since around about early January with my friend Jordan. It's a studio in town. So listeners might have heard of a band called Field Music. So our studio is on top of Field Music studio. My friend Jordan Miller, it's called Pamplemousse. And I've been tracking at my local studio in Silksworth called the Miners Hall Studio, taking it to Jordan's studio in town, and we've got about 12, 13 songs ready to go. But it's just that cycle, you can't put it out straight away.
Yeah.
You've got to find a platform, you've got to, wait these weeks. It's like anything.
So what's the process?
So record it all, track it all, forget it for about a week, go and listen again, add little bits and change a few things. And I like to record quickly. I hate doing anything more than 1 or 2 takes. If I can't do it in 2 or 3 takes, I scrap it. I'm not like an overdub kind of loving person. And then mix it down, basically. Mixing processes, you just make something sound better. You put an effect on the vocals, you put an effect on the drums. You just make it sound like a consolidated piece. And then you send it away, get mastered. And I like to put things on vinyl. I know it's a little bit maybe Urban Outfitters these days, selling vinyl, but... When I was in my first band 15 years ago, it was our dream to get a 7-inch vinyl out, and I've done that. and my kind of audience responds well to that. So I always do a limited run if I can. I number them, I sign them, and people, again, it's not just like a Spotify download or iTunes download. People put them on their wall, and people send us pictures of the album on the wall and stuff, and it's it's in their living room.
Yeah.
And that's such a wonderful feeling as well, especially for a limited run of something. So that's my little ideal. I want to make a set of songs that people go, oh, that reminds me of a certain time in my life, or I want to use that for a wedding song, or I want to use this for this type of thing. Because as a songwriter, that's what you want. You want that longevity. Well, I do anyway, of your song.
Do you know when you write a song, so say you had 13 songs there, what's the process for writing one? Do you just wake up at 2 a.m. and go, lyric?
Most of the time, yeah.
And then build it from there?
So if there's other songwriters that are listening, or creative writers or anything, I've just got a ton of apps on my phone, and it's always next to us, and I'll wake up in the night and I'll go, and I'll record it on my phone, and it'll be nothing, and I'll listen to them maybe a couple of weeks later, and I'll go, yeah, that's all right. And I'll go, those words might fit there. I mean, there's that famous story of the Beatles when they were writing Yesterday, and Paul McCartney, the demo says, scrambled eggs, how I love your lovely legs. Because he didn't have the words, but he had the melody. And that's how a lot of us do it. You come up with a melody, or sometimes you come up with the words. Me, I'm usually quite thematic. So I've got a little notebook of all the things I want to write about that mean an awful lot to us. And I've got the concept, but I might not have the tune or the words yet. And I just kind of wait until something just pops out. I think I've found that's the best way of writing a good song that I'm proud of anyway. Because I've sat down, it's like writing an essay. If you just try and write a song, you write something, you go, oh, I've done that. I'm not very pleased with it. But sometimes it works and sometimes it clicks. And with Shipyards, that was an example of where I had the idea, I had the chords, the words came very easily. And that's what you want, really.
We're going to try and see if you singing will work at these studios. So thanks, Martin, for coming in. It's always good to chat, and you'll be welcome back with open arms in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Real pleasure to be on. Thanks a lot.
Alex.
No worries, man.
It's never a pleasure.
It really isn't, to be fair.
Johnny.
The feeling's mutual, Connor.
I'm not locked in the bathroom this time, so that's good.
Yeah, it was a positive change.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to play Minecraft till 4 in.
Yeah,
so World of Warcraft or whatever. I'm going to.
Never been a World of Warcraft fan.
Yeah.
COD. A bit COD.
Yes.
Yeah. So what time are we coming round for mine for Dungeons and Dragons? I've got the Cheetos, and I'm going to burn the incense to make the atmosphere. If you want,
I'll have to see whether or not my blow up doll's still up, and then I'll.
Jesus.
Sean, Sean, cut that little bit out there.
Yeah.
Sean, I'll PayPal you 50 quid if you leave that in.
Really? Oh, that's quite an offer. That leave it in. Split the profits with Sean, 25 quid each. Okay, I'm going to sign this off now.
Yeah, this is a disaster.
Turning bad.
Oh, come on.
On the river where they used to build the boats, by the harbour wall, the place you love the most. I can see you there alone, but all you know, I'll be there soon. All your life you worked your fingers to the bone. You worked hard for every little thing you owned, that you gave away for years as if you know they were cold and out. like a ship you built, you're long gone from the coast. Where you are and where we go, we'll never know. On a ship you built, that's where I see you most. With your smile and eyes, with your smile and eyes, with your smile and eyes. And if you could see me now, and if you could see me now, I hope that I'm making you proud. I hope that I'm making you proud. I hope that I'm making you proud, proud, proud. Proud. Proud.